welcome to Norway. We're going to be driving between Voss and Bergen. It's a quite famous, well-known drive. It's about 100 kilometres, and along this route there's about 40 tunnels. Andrew and I did it 2016.
September 2016.
Yeah.
Shortly after my birthday, or did we maybe even go when it was my birthday? I can't remember.
I think it was September 3rd or September 5th we went. It was around about that region.
Yeah. So, it's a scenic drive. It's probably one of the main sort of arterial routes in Norway. I think I've used that term right, haven't I?
I think so. This is like if you were to drive between Bergen and Oslo, you use this part guaranteed. When you get to Voss, you then got a choice of the E16, Road 7, or some of the more adventurous mountain routes like Road 50 or Road 53. So this is the bit you have to drive. So it's the busiest part, but there's a lot of great scenery as you get close to the fjords at the end.
As a road that you have to drive, it still comes up as a pretty enjoyable driving experience. It's not like some of the roads we've got back here that are just a chore. This one's got plenty of scenery to see, lots of tunnels, lots of bridges, things like that. It's just a very nice driving route.
So yeah, as you get the interesting thing is when I was first kind of driving this with Andrew back in 2016, this was filmed in 2018 September so 2 years after Andrew did this particular route with me. I was driving, cautiously. First time I'd driven in Norway, not the first time I'd driven on the other side of the road, but still I was being quite careful about things, taking it steady. But now when I go over, because I've done it so many times, I'm just foot to the floor, get to where I'm going, someone gets in the way, they get all overtaken.
That's the speed he was actually going. That's not been sped up to make this a quicker video. That's the real speed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I also happen to have really fast window wipers.
Yeah.
Singular window wiper. 4 out of 5 times I've driven higher cars in Norway, they've been Yaris hybrids.
Yeah. It was a good car, the one we went on when I went to Norway with you. Not that I drove it, I didn't, but it was a nice experience, kind of passenger-wise anyway. And yeah, they're good cars. You hardly use any power when the electric thing's going at times. Yeah,
but it's great for kind of city experiences.
Yeah.
Any kind of low-speed driving, you're on the battery, so you don't have that first, second, third gear nonsense where you're revving up and losing all your fuel like that.
Oh yeah, there's nothing worse than the approach to a roundabout. You have to yam it in the first gear and it kind of just funks everything up. But
you lose your momentum, but you've got just enough to get going, and then that person that's made you stop sails off into the distance.
Yeah.
Feeling smug about themselves. Guaranteed.
It was kind of a bit of a rainy day in this particular footage. I can't remember what the weather was like when we did it in 2016. It was alright, I think, but I might be getting that wrong.
It was nice on the drive in, and it poured down on the way back. So when we first did this, we were staying in Voss, and we went to Bergen as a day out.
Yeah.
Really good day out for him. Well, you've probably seen the video at some point.
Yeah, I was going to say it was the last one. No, we did a video in 2017 in Assen, but it's one of the last ones we did, but I think it's a particularly good kind of series of videos, the Norway one. So yeah, that covered Bergen and what kind of a good day that we had in detail, but yeah, we'll mention it a wee bit later on as well.
Yeah.
But Voss was a nice town, just before we forget about it. Functional, I suppose, but not spectacular, but nice enough.
I think a lot of Norwegian towns kind of have that functionality, but when you do find the old buildings, the old churches in them, you get some really nice architecture. It's just that there's a lot more space in them compared to, say, British towns where you go in and you're hemmed in by parked cars and all that nonsense. You can generally flow through a Norwegian town more easily, both in car and as a non-motorised user, so they're nice on both counts, I'd say.
Yeah. I think a lot of these towns, they're built for function, which maybe sometimes takes a bit of their old charm away, but they're also a lot more amenable to use on a day-to-day basis than what we've got here. Nice hostel there, I think. We met some people, didn't we?
Yeah, there was a girl that was she from France?
France, I think. Yeah, she was nice, but you meet all sorts when you come do these trips.
Indeed you do, but we'll shut up for a bit later. Okay, welcome back. We are now on the island of Osterøy. Now, I quite like the island names around here because it shows how much of the Norse language is reflected in Scotland. I think if you think of places on the likes of the Orkney Isles and the Shetland Isles, I don't know if you can think of any names off the top of your head.
I suppose there's a lot of places like Rassay, I don't know if that's where you're sort of got Westray and Papa Westray, stuff like that. Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah, they're all influenced by the same way that obviously you would, because it's an O-Y, which makes the A sound, and obviously in English it's A-Y, but it amounts to the same thing. But it's nice that you've got that kind of link between the two countries in the way we, especially our kind of more
linguistic similarities. Rousey, that's another one. We actually stayed there, and that was the basis of our Orkney video. Go and look at that if you want to have a laugh.
All the way from 2010.
Yeah.
Carry on.
No, you carry on.
I think Osterøy is a strange island in terms of its layout. If you look at it on the map, it doesn't look as if it's an island, but it's completely surrounded by fjords. But on every side of the fjords is mainland Norway, so it's this kind of island sandwiched within. It's an odd kind of geographical layout. I'll maybe throw a map picture onto the side so you can see it. But I only kind of came here to drive over the bridge, which, as you saw, was an impressive one. It's the third longest suspension bridge in Norway. At least it was at the time of construction. I don't know if that's still the case.
Yeah, when we came here in 2016, we didn't go over it then, but I think we had a little bit of a walk around the underside of it. Just had a wee look around, and I think we'd already done the Hardanger at that point, had we?
Yeah, the Hardanger. Yeah,
so I suppose we were maybe bridged out at that point. The Hardanger is something else, but
the Hardanger is a very impressive structure.
Yeah.
Tunnel straight onto bridge, into tunnel, with roundabouts underground.
What I can't get my head around about it is the fact that you stood it kind of on one end and just put it vertically. It's just taller than the whole of Ben Nevis, but it doesn't look like it should be.
I suppose if you were to take a vertical slice out of Ben Nevis, as opposed to having one big enormous structure, I think that's maybe where that comes from. Because if you were to take, say, for example, let's go over nice Dundee example, then you would get the Tay Rail Bridge, or just the Tay Bridge, since when it was built there wasn't anything else around it. If you were to tilt it up, that's about 2.5 kilometres long, so that gives you an idea of that would tower above absolutely anything. I think nearly every single Norwegian mountain would then be lower than the Tay Bridge stood up on end, with the bend at the end hammered back into a straight.
That's quite impressive, but I can almost see that a bit more with the Tay Bridge than I can in the Hardanger. That's probably because it's sandwiched between huge mountains that just make you feel small, kind of tower above the skyline, rather than the openness of the Tay Bridge. We talked a lot about bridges, let's move on.
Yep, let's move on to the fact we're in tunnels most of the time, since, like I say, there's about 40 of them between Voss and Bergen. I mean, we're nearly at Bergen now, which is this bit kind of it. You've kind of left the fjord side and you're kind of going through. This is almost the Carnoustie of Bergen. As in, you're nearly there, but you're still kind of in open countryside, but you've got the busyness of the fact that you're near the city building up. You're in the outskirts. Maybe you're kind of in Monteith by now.
Monteith, yeah. Panmuirfield and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yep, that's everything you've always wanted. But so you can enjoy the run along the motorway into central Bergen, we are going to be quiet and let you enjoy some rock and roll. welcome to Bergen, Norway's second biggest city, and we're about to go right underneath the city centre. The great thing about Norwegian cities is that you tend to avoid the worst of the traffic because it sends you underneath. So if you're a pedestrian on the top, you get to enjoy it a lot more, rather than having all this motorway nonsense on going through its central streets.
Yeah. And Bergen is a really, really nice sort of town centre area. It's quite open, you can walk around, you're not really bothered by too much kind of traffic going on and stuff. So it's
apart from boat traffic coming in to feed the fish market, which I would fully recommend going to. I'm not a big seafood fan. You are?
I did, yeah. I liked it, and I think I don't know if I did on the 2016 trip, but on a separate 2010 trip that I did with my dad, I got some caviar in a jar out of there. And you know, it's Norway and it's expensive, but it's not as expensive as I thought caviar might be. You can pick up other really nice gems there as well, and they do nice kind of food stalls as well that you can get the fish cooked for you and take it away. Or yeah, it's a really good little harbour. It's pretty, and they've got nice little sort of buildings, multicoloured sort of buildings lining up the side of it.
No, I really enjoyed walking around there. We had calamari, and it was just cooked perfectly. Everything about it tasted great. And like I say, I'm not really a seafood fan, but I really enjoyed that particular meal. Maybe it's because I was on holiday as well. That always improves things. But
yeah, another splendid looking bridge. We
yeah,
can't
this
get
is
away with them.
Before I was driving back to the airport, I had a lot of extra time because I'd left where I was staying in Shildon, which is where we normally stay, which is a beautiful place, turquoise water and everything else. I left there about 6 in the morning. My flight back was, I think, 5 at night. I thought I can use this as an excuse to take a slightly longer, more relaxed drive back. I got to Bergen maybe about 1ish, so I knew I had a good couple of hours that I could kill before I needed to be back to the airport, so I kind of just drove around some of the islands to get a feel for kind of what the areas around the city are like. So this is basically what we're doing here on a couple of different islands, darting about. Interestingly on this drive, I think when we stopped on Ostre, I went to the supermarket, filled my case with sweets, like I always do when I go to Norway because they've got such amazing chocolate there. I brought it back, I got to the airport, came through customs, went to the duty free there, and they had blocks of Norwegian brown cheese.
Oh yeah, that is a rare kind of treat that you really need to get your hands on. I do believe Waitrose claim to sell it, but every Waitrose I've ever been in doesn't. But really, just try and look out for it there because it's hard to explain. It's not like cheese as you would understand it. In fact, it's not technically cheese at all. It's a sort of a byproduct made from whey that's developed during the cheese making process, and they kind of caramelize it into this really kind of
soft, caramelly. It's nutty. It's
You could spread it on sweet or savoury things, and you'd still get a really nice taste out of it. It's fantastic. Don't eat too much of it like I did in one go. You do get a little bit sick of it if you have large amounts, so just use subtle amounts, spread it on things, and it's really nice.
One of my favourite reasons for going there so often is you get to have some Norwegian brown. Yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful cheese.
It doesn't sound nice, brown cheese, but that's just what's nice about it. It's the caramelised flavour of it. It's just fantastic.
So yeah, I brought some of that back. So I was sitting in Bergen Airport and I was thinking, I'm flying into Aberdeen, I'm going to be passing Dundee anyway. So despite the fact I started the day in Norway, I was able to pop back and give Andrew all the chocolate bars and the Norwegian brown cheese on the journey back. So hopefully that was appreciated at the time.
Oh yeah, it definitely was. I always put in an order for Norwegian goodies because they are really good, and I'm not just saying it because they're kind of something different that you can't get here. They genuinely are on their own merits good, tasty sweets.
And that's why I bring them back so often. So I've got a stash to last me to the next time. So
best one's the chocolate bananas, the bananas I think they're called.
Or the topless bars.
The topless bars are really good.
I might have to put a picture in so you can see what they look like. But I've still got a few left. The data till April, so I need to get to Norway before April to get my next stash. I don't know if that's going to happen or not.
Oh, we'll just wait and see. We'll be there again at some point. I've not been able to come to many of these trips, but hopefully at some point I'll be able to join in again for another Norway excursion, which I think is really good.
So yeah, that was our my drive back. So I hope you enjoyed it. We'll hopefully maybe do some more of these commentaries because they're quite fun. Anyway, enjoy the bridges, enjoy the tunnels, enjoy the airport.
And we shall see you later.